are we coming out of Babylon? For Babylon is falling. And the Father's calling his people out of that harlot and all the daughters of the harlot, Circe, of the Roman Apostolic Catholic Church. And we're coming out of it and all its doctrines of demons and all its false hearsay information of changing the word and changing the words of the Tanakh and the Torah, and turning around and manipulating words to prepare people to, since for a few hundred years, to be a part of that system. And so we greet you in the Shem of Yahushua. Hallelujah. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, brother. I just give Yahuwah thanks for every day that we can learn more, and for bringing us to the truth, brother. For us not to compromise the name. For a long time, our ancestors did not do the Shabbat because they did not know of it. They did not call on the Creator's name because they forgot His name. It reminds me of, when the Israelites went into Mitzrayim, and then
right.
And they asked Moshe, well, who is it that's? Or Moshe told him it's Yahuwah that sends me. Anyways, it's kind of like I believe we're coming out of our Babylon, out of our Mitzrayim, even today, and so we're calling on the name.
And
the name is so important.
And we're sojournings in a strange land they call the America now. They morphed it into the word America, and we're part. This system has a calendar system of Babel, and has the whole.
Right.
They call Washington D.C. the Washington District Goddess of Columbiana system, and of course the system is rigged, but the system's getting broken and getting exposed, and we are exposing the rigged system of
right.
using the fake it till they make it words to right. get people to gravitate.
This leads everybody astray, though, brother. The fake it till they make it. The words and the names that are not true, they're not kodesh. And it's literally Satan has used this to lead the whole world astray.
Right.
For many generations. Many generations.
Yeah. And it's a slow process.
Right.
We got to see in our own lifetime evolution come into the school system. We got to see the school system being taken over by the government.
Right.
It went from a Christian they call the Christian building was used to teach the adult basic education in the late 1800, early 1900. Then it got taken over by the government system, and before then it was mostly tutors, or people were paying people to tutor their children. You know
right.
what I mean? To learn adult basic ABC, they call it adult. ABE, Adult Basic Education System,
right.
which is like 0 to 8th grade, and then they went back to work in their farms. So half a yom they work in the farm, and half a yom they went to school, and then eventually the government came over and made it mandatory, and made the public school system. So if they were paying the bill, they had a control. That's basically
right.
what it is. Now the Catholic Church, back in the old days, they're the ones that controlled the school system completely,
right?
100%, the parochial
right.
school.
Right.
You had to pay the Catholic Church to go to school, or you weren't going to get an education.
Right, right, and all of this stuff is if you read about history, you'll find out where where all of these teachings of rabbinical and of Catholicism, where all the rules and everything came from, and they came straight out of the Word. A lot of these they used the Word in order to manipulate the system. Okay,
right.
so it's kind of hard to see through the veil unless you're calling on the name of Yahuwah, and you're calling on the name of Yahushua, and the Father and the Ruach HaKodesh is able to reveal things to you. Then you're walking into the light, and the veil is coming off, and you're able to see, what the truth is. But I believe, brother, that if you, and I may be wrong, but I believe that if you don't call on the name, that you can have a level of truth, but not all the truth. And we want all the truth. We want to believe only what's true. We don't want to there's things that that, before, when we were in a Christian walk, or whatever you want to call it, we were some of us were never Christians. Some of us were atheists. Some of us were just different things, and we're just coming to the name. There are levels of truth. Like, if you've never killed anybody, then you have a level of truth, because you're
a foundation moral in your heart.
Right.
That's not right to do.
Right. Or if you've never, whatever, if you've never committed adultery. There's many people out there that are atheists that have probably never committed adultery. So even though they're atheists, they have some kind of truth, but we want the whole truth.
Right.
And for us, we were calling on the J-Man and calling on God and all these different mighty ones, not knowing the things that we know today. So we're not trying to offend anybody by talking about these things all the time, but I think they're important. I think it separates us from everybody else. How many places can you go to today? I'm just going to say this. How many places can you go to today where the name of Yahuwah is written on the outside of the building?
Right.
Literally. Right. Whether it's Catholic or whether it's or Judaism. Have you ever been to a place that says this is the temple of Yahuwah and Yahushua HaMashiach? Have you ever seen that?
No.
I haven't.
No.
Have you ever gone ever gone to a synagogue or a messianic temple or a Catholic mass or a born again Christian mass where they're up there saying, and Yahuwah said this and Yahushua did that? No, you can't do that. So it separates us. It separates us.
And we want to greet you all as we're sharing this with love.
Yes.
To all the goy, all the goyim, the sojourners, because you're in a sojourner of truth. You're trying to find the truth. You're on a journey. You're not a gentilis, a Gentile, a Catholic word, made up word. And you're not, you might be feel stranger, a Gorim, a Germanite, like the sons of Moshe. Sons were Germanites. He named his son a stranger because he was a stranger in a strange land. You know what I mean?
In a foreign land.
Yeah,
Right.
and they called us a Ger, and I said, thank you for calling me a Germanite, because they became Levi.
Yeah.
Right.
They did become the Levites.
They did.
Yeah.
They got grafted into the house of Arion.
Right.
So our research is leading us to expose the false words that have been planted by the Catholic Church and inherited lies into the Christian community, where the Christian community went from Reformationists to Protestant to different denominations. And I've shared this in my other writings that in the last 100 years, since 900, most of the denominations today, the major, are offshoot, cookie dough, push out, all new. Calvary Chapel's brand new. Pentecostalism's not even 100 years old. It might be a little bit close to it, from Azusa Street, a little bit over. There was a different form of apostolical type of that type of Pentecostalism. The Church of God in Cristo was late 1800 to early 1900. They went through a transition of keeping Torah, the commandments, and the Shabbat, and they went right back to this Sun God Day worship. So we want to get to the root of the language, because so it's basically having a renewed mind and renewed in the spirit of the mind. And we want you to have that, and we share it with you in love. And as my brother was sharing, we're sharing it with you in love. Okay, we are not a part of the Christian community. We're not, because we're Israelites. If people watch us, they're either Hebrew Israelites, they're followers of Yah, they're Messianic of some form, they're Nazir, Nazoraim. Most of our associates are part of the work of the Nazoraim, or the Nazir, or Nazir in Hebrew, as we say in Hebrew, other than Greek, Nazarene. So we're a part of that camp of understanding, introducing the correct words and language to be Kodesh, because we refuse to call on Hail Zeus. We're not going to call on Jesus,
right.
The Hail the Zeus.
Right.
We already got videos on that, and you can go back and check those videos out. And we're not going to call on no other mighty one but the mighty one of Yesharel. Okay. You see, Hashatan they call him, but his name is Ha'el or Masdema. These principalities have been around since a long time. They've been around watching us since the dying of the garden, okay? And they have a long range sight. They can see far away, and they can start something 300 years ago, 500 years ago, and start the brainwashing of words
Right.
to get you away from the Shemitic paleo into the modern Yiddish.
they have an agenda.
German. They have agenda. The enemy has an agenda to get you brainwashed. Do you think that the sons of Noah were brainwashed that quick? It was a few hundred years, and they were living 100, 200,
It was
300.
gradual.
Yeah.
Because people are not going to immediately accept, you know, it took us 40 years for myself, 40-something years to get to the point where I'm at, because I was raised up in a different kind of culture, and if you would have just thrown all of this to me at one time, then I wouldn't have accepted.
Right.
And people are like that. So their agenda goes over time from generation to generation until eventually they complete it. In Exodus 3:15, just to let y'all know real quick.
All right.
Exodus 3:15, it says, and Elohim said further to Moshe, thus you are to say to the children of Israel, Yahuwah. Let me say that again. Yahuwah. Okay, not Hashem and not Adonai and not the Lord or not God or not any of those names, but Yahuwah. That's what it says. If you read it in Hebrew, it's Yod, He, and the U. The vav was an u sound.
Okay, let's
not
go
a
to it.
vav
Let's
sound.
go to it for fun.
Just real quick.
Exodus
3, chapter 3, verse number 15. Okay.
Let me swing to it real quick, and then we're gonna put it in 3:15. Bear
Right.
with me, people. This is Shabbat. Get your tea, get your coffee, get whatever you're gonna have, your drink, and let's chill out the Shabbat and Midrash together. Hallelujah.
Okay. So how does it read in that one, brother? Oh, okay.
And we're gonna look at Orthodox, or we're gonna look at ISR.
Let's look at ISR. I want to read it in ISR because that's how. And then you can read it and then we can read it in the King James version and see what we've all been reading. Okay,
right.
so in the ISR it says, and Elohim said further to Moshe, thus you are to say to the children of Israel, Yahuwah, Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, of Isaac, and Yaakov, okay, has sent me to you. So Elohim,
This
so
is my
Yahuwah,
name, Shem forever.
right, he's giving him instructions. Go over there and tell them that this is my name forever. Forever. Okay? And
All generations.
This is my remembrance to all generations. Okay? And this is Yahuwah speaking. Okay? This is not a rabbi speaking. This is not this is
Not even Moses. He's giving them information.
right. This is not a priest speaking or whatever you want to call him. A pastor,
The sages
of
the Talmud. No, it's none of that.
this is the author, the writer, the creator of the whole universe saying this. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that his word has authority over everybody else's, and he's saying that Yahuwah is my name forever, for all generations. He doesn't say, oh, my name's too Holy, or my name is too Kadosh to say it. I have never seen that in the word. I have never seen, there's not one, and if there is, please send it to me, because I need to see it. Because there's not one verse in the whole Torah that says that we are not to speak his name. As a matter of fact, he says several times, those who call on my name, this is my name, and you shall remember my name, and I shall baruch you if you remember my name, and I shall baruch you if you call on my name.
And your name will be written in the book of remembrance
Right.
if you know his Shem.
Right,
His
if you
true
know
Shem,
his Shem,
Yahuwah.
the character of his name, that your name shall be written in the book of remembrance forever. Forever. So this is what separates us. This is why we do not say G-O-D or the J-man, and we don't use all these words, and we're not going to compromise and use them so that other people can understand us or have some kind of a understanding what we're talking about. If they have a notion, if they have any questions to understand, they can email us or they can read the Torah for themselves. Now, this is one of the greatest lies. I'm sorry, brother, I didn't mean to do this, but show them how it reads in King James.
All right, I'm showing them in Hebrew.
Right.
I'm showing them in Hebrew. Now I'm going to go to King Imus, the Scotsman, the son of Bloody Mary from Scotland.
And God said, moreover, unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, the Lord. Okay, it doesn't say, in here it didn't say Baal. Okay, there it says the Lord, which is Baal. That's lie number one. God. God is not in here.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Elohim,
right, of your fathers. So now let's stop right there. Now remember, what is the first commandment? The very first commandment, the very first of the 10 words, that we do not bow ourselves, or we do not put any other mighty ones before his
any
face.
Other name, mighty one, or anything, even a religion, even
Right.
family, whatever, before the name
Before
of
his
Yahuwah.
before his face. He said,
Before his face.
don't present
No
this-
mixture is worse.
Right.
Mixture is horrible. He'd rather you go all the way to Buddha, all the way to Hare Krishna, all the way to whatever you're going to believe in, 100%, than to mix his name, part
Right.
Yahuwah, part whatever. They say Yahweh, which is a pagan idol in the Jewish, in the Israel Museum, or even Yehovah, which is wrongfully used because the rabbis in Israel only use Yahuwah against
Right.
the enemies of Israel, because the Jehovah means destruction. So the Yahuwah said the destruction of Yahuwah upon my enemies. But so he don't even like mixture. It's got to be. It can't be hot, cold.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It can't be in lukewarm. You got to be hot. You got to be
Right.
hot and cold. Excuse me. Not
You got to be
lukewarm.
hot or cold.
Right.
He even says, "I rather that you were hot or cold."
Yeah.
Didn't he say that in the Brit Hadashah, brother?
Yeah.
I rather that you were either hot or cold. You know.
So look at this. Okay, many of you have come from different daughter harlots from the Catholic Church. That's what the Roman Apostolic Catholic Church is, the harlot of religions, according to the book of Revelations. All right? And then they had offshoots. And what do they do to the Native Americans? What do they do to the natives of Mexico, Latin America, Brazil, all over? They come in with the Catholic Church and they change the names of their mighty ones. But all they're doing is giving another mighty one, okay, another deity, right? In this King Imus version, because of the dramatic of the Geneva translation, there's a lot of German words, which we know that gut and good, G-O-D-D, is still the same word, the modernization of G-O-D, of that pagan deity that demands innocent blood. They turn around and change the name and say, here Israel, here's your mighty one, L-O-R-D and G-O-D. And they turn around, they did to the Native Americans, here's your mighty one.
Right.
The J-Man. Here's
Right.
your mighty one. Here's your mighty one. Here's your mighty one. Islam did the same. They conquered lands. They said, live, submit. And Islam means submit. Submit, Islam.
Right.
Islam, submit with the sword, or die and accept Allah and Muhammad as his prophet.
Right.
Or die. And if you
Right.
wanted to live, you have to be converted. And so they changed the name of their mighty ones by force. What they have done in the form of Catholicism, converting, and the education of gradualism, of assimilation, is by putting the wrong words here. And all you got to do is go to the origin. It's amazing how people are waking up all over the world that are not even believers. I was watching Alex Jones the other day, going down the road, and there's George Norrie from a late night talk radio, and he's into astrology and all kinds of stuff, and he said it right there on national TV. Well, everybody knows that has common sense to look at the word, that his name is Yehoshua ben Yosef.
Wow.
And he's
Wow.
not even a Christian.
Right.
And he says, we all know, and I'm an astrologer and astronomy and science, and we all know that he
That's
gave
what
us
I
a
was
fake
saying
name.
about people who are atheists. There's people that are atheists are researchers. There's a lot of I've met a lot of them have they call themselves atheists, but they'll also have. I've seen these guys up in Montana that were atheists, brother, and they had a circle on their arm, tattooed on the arm, with an A in the middle of it.
Well, that's, yeah.
Yeah, so there
We
is a
know
religion there.
There's a religion. It's an occult. Yeah.
It's a religion.
Anarchy,
Right.
You know, or in witchcraft they put an A with a line going through it, but it's not really A. It's a pyramid with an A, and it's dealing with the anarchish type of people, but also it's a form of witchcraft, brother.
Right.
And instead of having a religion, they don't want to say they're witches or warlocks. They'll just say I'm atheist.
Right.
I'm an agnostic.
You know,
But it's amazing how what turns people that are educated off and they'll claim to be agnostic or atheists is because they researched and found that how the Catholic Church has infiltrated the religious system with all the fake it to make it words and infiltrated all these words to lie and deceive the public.
right.
You know,
Now,
so they back out. They said, "I'm turned off of religion. I don't want nothing to do with any religion because the whole system's
because
corrupt."
all the lies. Because all the lies. Look, I'm just gonna share this real quick, 2 minutes about history, real quick. The history that I learned through genealogy. Many of our Hispanic ancestors, okay, that came from España and came from Portugal over here and from Morocco, the northern African tribes and that area that came over here with a Semitic, with a Jewish, Yehudi belief. Whatever that Yehudi belief was, if it was something like the Judaism that it is today, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. We really, anyways, let me get past that. So they came over here, okay, and these guys converted to Christians. That when you read my ancestors, when you read their genealogy, when you read their documents, and they're asked who they are, these people are saying we are nuevo cristianos from Portugal, from Andalusia, from Toledo, from all of these different places, and they came over here to the Americas. They were sprinkled with holy water, by the Catholic Church, made new Christians, came over here
to be christened,
right?
Christened with water,
right? Turned into priests. Get this. Hold on. Let me. Turned into priests. Now these are Yehudi being indoctrinized into the Catholicism. They turned into priests. They got here. These guys, I spoke to this one man. He was telling me a story, and he's a Yehudi. He's a 80-something-year-old man, and he was telling me a story about how one of the priests would come over to their house on Friday night, and he would wash his hands, brother, all the way up to his arms. And so all of them were doing this.
The Shabbat.
Yeah, and then he would do the whole Shabbat service in Hebrew. Okay, and then the next day he would go to the Sunday morning mass and hold mass. Okay, so the mass, the Catholic mass, is almost a mirror image, or it's like the Judaism,
the rabbinical.
So then you have this whole mixture, and you know what? Because of the house of Israel and the house of Yehuda that did not want to keep the commandments of Yahuwah handed them over to their own destruction, to their own sin, and let them go astray. This is what they wanted to do, was to call on other mighty ones. That's why I have such a fervor for the true name. You see, because if you want to call me G-O-D or whatever, I figure Yahuwah's, then I'm going to hand you over to that. You want to call me Dios and all these other pagan names? I'm going to hand you over to paganism. Right. And years and later on, centuries, thousands of years from now, your descendants are going to find out the truth, and they're going to love me. Only those who are calling on my name with the true heart that love me are going to be able to come back.
And we know.
Excuse me. But this is the truth.
Right.
And we're living it today. We're in that today. So no, we will not compromise the name at all. Okay? And tell you that it's something else.
Right. And
sorry about that.
And that's all, nothing wrong.
Yeah.
You go ahead and share that with because you're the one that researches all the Spanish history very accurately. And my ancestors, the Amayas family, from my mom's side, they had to train themselves in order to do the sign of the cross correctly and say the rosary correctly, and just to catch a ticket and get on the boat or they would execute you. You could not get on the boat. Just like imagine if you're going on a plane today. You want to see papers, you get your Spanish papers out. You're all right, you're a real Catholic? Yeah, what parish? All right, do the sign of the cross and say the Hail Mary.
Right.
And if you don't do it,
right.
Yehudi, they didn't even say Yehudi, they call it Judaizer or whatever, and they try to kill you right there on the spot.
Yeah, estás judaciando.
Yeah.
Estás judaciando.
So they
You're
want to
being
kill
a
you on the spot
Judaizer.
because you know you got all your goods on you. You got your wealth on you, with your backpack and your children to take on to the Americas. So we and also there were many of you rabbinical joined the Jesuits and became spies and started ratting on the Yehudi that believed in the Mashiach Yeshua and executed the Yehudi, executed Jews throughout Europe.
Right, the ones who believed on Mashiach.
Because they believed in the Messiah. They would rat on them. Because you think they were ratting on Jews because they were practicing Shabbat and they were Yehudi. No, they made a deal. The Rabbinical made a deal with the Popa that you keep yours, we keep ours, and there's no conversion between. All right? So they had these Jews that were Jesuits, converted to Jesuit, and knew everything how to do the Sabbath, the prayers and everything, and they would mingle and find the ones that were believing in Mashiach.
Right.
And then they would have them arrested.
Right.
And killed.
Right. And they would have what they call the Inquisition. They were questioned of what their belief was, and they were tortured. That's what Inquisición means the inquiry. Who are you? What are you doing? What do you believe in? You know, what are your? Oh, you mean you believe in Yahushua HaMashiach? You believe that the Mashiach has come? You know, you believe in this that man was God on earth? You know, and then they would torture them. Many of these people went up into Germany also. Those are our Ashkenaz brothers, and I can follow their lineage. I've done it before, and they go straight up north. That's why you have all of these Ashkenazi Jews that are from up north, and they are Jewish. A lot of them, they're Yahudi
the Rockefellers,
Israelites.
the Rothschilds, all these wicked people.
I believe that
those wicked people, and the ones that raised up Obama as a little boy, and that they happen to be Jewish. What they are, these people are not real Israelites. These are these are spies in the camp, just like the Jesuits were, and to manipulate the nations. They have nothing to do with us. They're nothing to do with Israel. They don't believe even in the rabbinical. You know, they don't even believe rabbinical, let alone anything else.
Yeah, they put the tag. They wear the tag, but their hearts are far from. Their lips are calling themselves the things of Yahuwah, but their hearts are far. And so, but the Sephardic had them too. The Sephardic had them in the form of Jesuits.
Right.
Many of the like brothers and sisters Amaya and Mine de Castro. These guys, a lot of them were Jesuits. Now you can do the research and you'll go straight to them, and it gives a list of them. With them came Jesuits. Okay, and they were the ones who did the Inquisition. Yeah. They were on the boat, and they were there to make sure that the other people that were Yehudi didn't get out of line, okay? And they would sit up and they would watch like brother was saying, they would watch on Saturday to see. Excuse me for saying that word. To see who had a little smoke coming out of their house. Oh, they're not Jewish because they're burning fire, and those ones that didn't, they would start keeping an eye on them for a long time. And if they never saw, oh, they're practicing. They're practicing. Yeah. They're doing the rabbinical deal, so let's get them. Okay, it says, from the rising of the sun even to its going down, my name is great among nations, and in every place incense is presented to my name, and a clean offering. For my name is great among nations, said Yahuwah of hosts.
And of course, in the next verse, he says,
but you are profaning me in that you say, the table of Yahuwah is defiled, and its food is despicable.
So when we start contaminating and using L-O-R-D, G-O-D for the Elohim, because we know that Elohim is more of a title description, like we would say grandfather or father or something like that, or dad or mother. It's not a name. His name is Yahuwah. And so as we looked at it from the rising of the sun even to its going down, we're going to look at it in the OJ.
Yeah, and you know the next verse, I was just going to say, the next verse, it kind of says, it says, but you are profaning me in that you say, the table of Yahuwah is defiled and its food is despicable. Oh, and you said, oh, what weariness. Why do we have to call him by the name of Yahuwah? How come we just can't say G-O-D into J-Man?
Or Adonai.
Yeah,
or
what is
Adon.
wrong with them guys? Those guys are crazy, man. They're so critical, you know, and they want to just, you know, they get mad if you say the J-Man or if you say G-O-D. You know, oh, what weariness. You know what? That's just too much for us. We're not ready for that.
Right.
Okay.
And see, and the reason why, because the good spell,
Yeah.
they're under a spell. And right now, if I pray in the Shem of Yeshua and agree with you that the spell of gut and good, the good spell will be broken, because
Yes.
in the scriptures it's the bezorah or bezulas.
Hallelujah.
It's the pluralism, the Tov news of atonement, the Tov news of redemption, the Tov news of the Pesach, the Passover. That's the message. It is not the spell of this deity's gut. You know,
Right.
we break the spell
Hallelujah.
off of you and your family in the Shem of Yeshua. We command the good spell to be broken in the Shem of Yeshua. And if you got family and loved ones involved with this, in the Catholicism and other religions of the daughters of the harlot daughters or of the Christian community, you start breaking the spell of that thing in the Shem of Yeshua.
Yes, and have a reverence for his name. When you break the spell, then you have a reverence for the name, and so you know, you want to say the name right. You don't say, oh man, what weariness, and you don't sneer at it, and you just keep reading that verse. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but keep reading that chapter. And you'll see what I'm talking about,
Right.
what brother's talking about.
Now we're going to read it in the OJ, from the rising of the Shemesh even unto the going down. Now even this is incorrect, which I'm going to show you. Of the same, my name shall be Kodal among the Goyim, and in every place incense shall be offered unto my name, and a mikah te ta'orah, for my name shall be Kadol among the Goyim, says Yahuwah Zevos.
Gadol means great,
Right.
great, like the Kohin Hagadol, the great,
The high great
yeah,
rabbis, great
Yeah.
one. That's what rabbi means, great one.
right. That's literally what it means.
Yeah.
That's why he said you only have one rabbi, you only have one great one,
And that's
just one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Joshua, Joshua chapter 13, verse 5. Flick it to the OJ and see what happens here. From the area of Biblos. What? Let me go back. The land of the Gibeonites. You see this, brother?
Yeah.
Because we know Biblos is a goddess. The Bible, the word Bible is Biblos, which is in Lebanon. Of the land of Gibeonites and all Lebanon. We know Lebanon is the goddess of Lebanon at one time was Biblos. And they call it Gibeonites here. Now, I'm going to go back to the OJ, the Jewish translation, and look what they say. Oh, man, I clicked. Excuse me. I went to...
So that's very interesting.
We discovered something here.
How it says, and the area
Of Biblos, all the Lebanon, toward the rising of Shemesh from Baal Gad under Mount Hermon unto Levo Hamat. So they're showing you the city of Biblos, how it was hidden.
Right.
The Jewish translation don't care about it, but they put it there, Biblos, the pagan deity of Lebanon. Let's see in King Imus. Let me write that down. I'm going to write that down, man, because they're dealing with a high place of the Astros. They call the gardens places. Wow. And we just stumbled into that. People with us, you happened to be with us to find that. I'm going to put that in my notes. They call it Gibeonites. And look what it says here in the Hebrew: inhabited in Gibal, stone square. But why does the Jewish translation, because they're reading the correct Hebrew, they put Biblos, and all live on toward the rising of the Shemesh. But here in the Hebrew translation, they happen to be revealing to us that it's the goddess Biblos. You can go online right now, and you can do that playing around later on. You can go online and go to the temple of the Biblos, which they made the word Bible, which is not in your scriptures till I opened it up here and found it. I used to tell people the word Biblos is nowhere in the scriptures, but it's hidden in the Hebrew language. You could go online, people, and you could go to the city of the goddess Biblos, which is the goddess Bella rules. As they say, Bella rules. Not Isabella, but Bella rules, okay? And the foundation of the goddess, that stone that they're saying in Lebanon, is still there. But the deity has been destroyed by Muslims. Okay? So getting back to the topic, brother's he's on a search too. In the land of Biblos and all in Lebanon, toward the rising, and we know it's toward, and the word sunrise does not exist. It's Mizrak, meaning coming eastward, right? Toward, eastward, from Balgad, which we know is the deity of fame and fortune. Okay, look at it right here. 1171, Balgad, that's dealing with the deity God. You can see it right here. I'm going to click it for you. In the Hebrew number 1171, you can see it right here. Ball of fortune, Balgad. And if I were to go to Blue Letter Bible Translation and I click Gad, he would say good, good, good. It would repeat it on Blue Letter audio speak on for you. Okay, that's where we discovered the GODD, and the GOTT is through that Blue Letter, and then it helped us link into the Hebrew and see that. But it's the deity of fortune. That's what's on the dollar bill, the deity of fortune. That's why it's on money. You know,
right?
That's the one people trust in. In the mighty one they trust of the dollar bill. Like, I used to have buddies that they were all into drug dealing, making money, robbing banks, all kinds of bad stuff. And when people try to witness to them, family members try to show love, to witness to them and get them out of it and try to get them into Christianity, they would say, hey, you see on the dollar bill? That's my GOD, mighty dollar. And they used to put Levi on the dollar and put it on their head. See, this is my mighty one. They telling you like it is. In the GOD, I trust the dollar bill, the money, and what I see is what I believe in. That's what they used to say. All my old gangster friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you see this table with all this greenback? This is my mighty one. You see that dollar bill? In GOD, I trust in that. They used to say that.
Right.
These gangster guys, you know what I mean? And they had no quarrel about it. I used to see people throw themselves in a bed full of money and say, I worship you, you're mine. Yeah.
Wow.
They literally put their life in the line to do the crime and get it. And then once they get it, they throw it in the air. They like it's raining and they're playing around and they're worshiping the money.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, we don't realize what we were doing, living in sin. If some of you were that radical like I was when I was a sinner, okay? Yeah. And some of my friends were I never used to do that, but I used to say some crazy things like that. Tell people, here's your mighty one right there on that dollar bill. You know what I mean? And but I had no idea what I was saying until now. I know, okay? If they would go as far to change the Father's name, the Son's name, locations, the word Biblos, these different were Shamaim for heaven, this German place, this location of Asilium, you know what I mean? This different place that they give us this image, they give us this false, fake image of making us think of a It's just a total, instead of, the word heaven that we know is from the year 900 CE, and it's Germanic, and the ancient words was Valhalla and Elysium, of the place between the clouds and the arch under the Shamaim, the place of the Father. I know people would argue that they put down 3 heavens, the first, second layer, third. Well, I rather stick with the word Shamaim, plain and simple. I rather stick. If you want to say 3 Shamaims, use 3 Shamaim, but not use the word where it's connected to Elysium, where's the place where Thor and the deity Thor and the deity Diana and the deity, all the pagan Greek and Germanic deities go to, and you get to go and be with them in the clouds, floating around with little harps, with little naked boys with harps. That's all Greek mythology paganism. It doesn't exist. Get it out of your mind, people. This is when Mr. You got Michelangelo, and then you have the guy from Pope Borgia that was doing the artwork with Leonardo da Vinci. When he was doing the artwork for the Catholic Church, he liked boys and girls, and he went to the city of Alexandria and learned the artistic points of the depth and perception of art. And then he came to the Catholic Church, and they brought the Renaissance, which I'm not for the Renaissance. I'm against the Renaissance. Because the Renaissance is a brainwashing system of bringing a resurrection of Greek mythology with all these naked children and naked deities in the sky, and they just renamed them. You know what I mean?
Right.
They put Venus. They use the vase of Venus to pour water on your head to baptize you in a bowl as a baby. To give you the curse of the water baptism of the Catholic Church, which is actually a spell that needs to be broken from you, that was put on as a baby. So all this mythology from Leonardo da Vinci and all these people that painted, and Michelangelo actually did a lot of the cleanup work and painted the clothes on. Because all this stuff was naked, they put the little leaves and stuff, and then they finally put the clothes on, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff that has been put in the system of our minds, and there's still people in the Christian community, they got these cute little angelicos naked with wings.
Right.
And those are falcons. Those are spirits, genies. They call you jinns or genie. You know what I mean? So, and they don't understand this is not in the scripture. This is Greek paganism to the fullest, and also the Roman Apostolic Catholic Church. Okay? And I just pray that the Father with the Ruach HaKadosh would just touch you and minister to you as you do your own research. Because I'm going to tell you something. I love a lot of you brothers that are part of the Nazarene and also the Hebrew Israelites and a lot of the Messianic brothers. I love you all, okay? But there's a lot of things that you've been led and using the words of Catholicism and Christianity words, which is an adoption of Catholicism words.
It's a mixture. It's a mixture.
And you're trying to find the calendar. We're all sincerely trying to find the calendar.
But anybody who's doing the Shabbat and calling on the name, then you're coming out of that.
Right.
There's things that we need to come out of also.
Right.
So and when you get rid of all of that, then I believe it's a process of becoming kadosh and getting to a place where that Yah can say, okay, now that you changed the name, your language, you're worshiping me, you're doing my Shabbat, you're doing all of my feasts, and you've cleaned up all of the other mess, now I can give you the Ruach HaKodesh.
And now I can give you more information.
Right.
But if you're doing /this/that, and you have mixture, he does not like mixture.
Right.
When he came down the mountain, Moshe came down the mountain, what did they find? They found Aaron with a fatted calf of gold, saying, "This is Yahuwah that brought you out of Israel."
Yeah, and they were praying. They were praying to Yahuwah through the cow.
Right.
They said, "Make us a mighty one that we can see." So they were praying to Yahuwah through the cow. They were not praying to in their mind. They were not praying to another deity. They were praying to Yahuwah through the golden calf. So it's like, okay, well, today I'm praying to the Creator of Israel through God or through the J-Man.
Right.
It's the same concept. It's the same thing. And the very first commandment says Do not put any other mighty ones before my face. Get them out of my face. I
Right.
don't want them. Get them away from me.
And don't call him
Yeah.
something that he's not.
Right.
You know, he'd rather you hot or cold.
Yeah.
If you're lukewarm, he'll spit you out of his
Yeah,
mouth.
you're in or out. Either
And he's
one
coming
of the
for a
two.
bride without spot and blemish, that the bride knows the groom's name.
Right.
He's
And
not going to come with epithet, fake it names.
He's going to come for an Israelite bride too. An Israelite bride.
Right.
He's not coming for a Mexican bride or an American bride or a German bride or a Greek goddess bride or a Catholic bride. He's not coming for none of. He's coming for an Israelite bride who knows the name. In case she knows his appointed times. She's keeping the Shabbat and all the feasts. And she's going to the wedding rehearsals. She's there every weekend on Shabbat. She's there every Passover, every first fruit, every Shabbatot, every Yom Teruah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. She's making all the feasts. She's becoming Kadosh. And she's washing her linens, and her dress is going to be spotless and white. And only then, and then only, can she present herself before the groom, before Yahushua.
As a living offering.
Right, as an offering. You know, these are all, so in order, wow, I got chills just saying that.
Right.
But I mean, just saying that. It's just, so it's a different concept than what we've been, trained to believe, how we've been brought up.
Yeah. And we teach by 2 or 3 witnesses every word be established. And we want you to be established in his service, in his sovereign
Hallelujah.
service, to serve him. It's the sovereign of the universe. Hallelujah. So go with Yahuwah, have a great Shabbat, have a great time fellowshipping with your family. You break the bread, just rest. Rest. If you got a pool, go put your feet in the pool and rest. Have a Shabbat. You know what I mean? And have a good time with your children and grandchildren. We love you and thank you for allowing us to come into your home.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.